How's it going, everybody? Combo here. Today we got 5 quick tips with the Famas, aka the new weapon for the medium class, here in Season 2 of TheFinals. This weapon, in my opinion, has consistency unparalleled by any weapon, really, in the entire game, and I have been absolutely loving it in my matches. Hopefully by the end of the video, you guys learned something new, and you can go into your lobbies and absolutely roll heads with the stuff you're about to see. So, I'm not going to hold you here forever, let's get right into it. Starting things out at number 1, we have perhaps the most important thing when dealing with any rifle style of weapon, that being managing the recoil. Luckily for us, the Famas has a pretty easy to control pattern. So first thing I'm going to do is fire all 27 rounds into this wall. I'm going to showcase 2 methods to mitigate the recoil, but let's start with the most common and consistent one. So this one here, as you can see, makes what looks to be a reverse 7 when we analyze that recoil pattern. Looking at those first 18 or so rounds, we can see that it is basically vertical in the first half of the magazine and starts to shift more off to the right near the end. So all we're going to do to make this more consistent and get a good grouping is for those first few shots, we're going to hold slightly down, maybe to the left a little bit to get ready for that kick. And as we get further into the magazine near the bottom, we're just going to slightly hold to the left to mitigate those last few rounds. Do all those things right, and you should get a pattern that looks a little something like that. Granted, that's not a great pattern. It kind of looks like a heart because I absolutely love all of you and you should totally subscribe. Wasn't that cringe? Anyways, the other method you have is what is known as recoil smoothing. So the way this works, if you are moving to the right, you're going to slightly move your reticle to the left. Vice versa, moving to the left, you're going to slightly move your reticle to the right. This is going to basically negate all of the vertical recoil that this weapon has, and I will say this does work with every weapon in the game, so keep that in mind. So I'm not great at this, but I'll do my best to show what it looks like. So moving to the left, we're going to try to get a good grouping here. As you can see, it's a little bit more horizontal because I'm not used to it, but there is like no vertical recoil. So you have both those methods, keep them in mind. You know, you might like one over the other, but generally speaking, get good with it because that is how you're going to be the most consistent with this weapon. Next up at number 2, we have perhaps what I believe to be the Famas's greatest strength, that is its consistency at those longer ranges. If you practice with this thing and do the stuff that I show you, I promise, other than maybe the sniper in the LH1, you are going to beat every other weapon in the game at range. I mean that so seriously. So there is a trick to it. So for 20 meters out and in, you are going to aim around the neck area. Even if you're maintaining the recoil, this weapon is still going to kick a little bit, but basically it's going to ensure that at least one of those shots is a headshot, as you can see right there. Right at the chest, I'm maintaining the recoil, but if I slip up a little bit or target moves around, you can hit them in the head. From 30 to 40 meters, as you can see right here, you're going to aim right below the chest, right at the waist level. Same thing here. This is going to ensure that one of those shots is going to be a headshot. So I'm at the waist right here, as you can see, and we get a headshot. This isn't a perfect science, but generally speaking, it works for me. 50 to 60, you're gonna go right at the kneecaps, as you can see right here. And we're always going to get at least one headshot in our kill, as you can see right there. From ranges like this, the fact that we can basically make sure we're getting headshots is absolutely nuts. Even from 70 to 80, as you can see on this moving target, I'm aiming a little bit below the kneecaps, as you can see right here. You don't want to spam your shots from these longer ranges, but as you can see, you can be quite consistent. And finally, from 90 to 100, you're going to be aiming pretty low. Even if you're maintaining that recoil, make sure you're not spamming your shots. But as you can see right here, if I'm firing at this target, I can be very consistent. Now you might say, hey, these targets are standing still, but even if I move back here to this target right here, as you can see, once you practice with this, the fact that I'm able to hit headshots from this range with somewhat consistency is absolutely nuts. So keep those ranges in mind, practice with this thing at those ranges, and you will absolutely tear people up. Next up at number 3, we have something that is probably pretty self-explanatory, but I did want to point it out and maybe show a way to make it be more consistent. That being the hipfire. So as you can see right here, if I have a target in my face, anywhere from about 4 to 5 meters in, if I have a target in my face, I am going to hipfire. And there's a couple reasons for that. Firstly, when I'm hipfiring, I can move faster than when I'm aiming down sights, making it tougher for my enemy to hit shots, and I don't really sacrifice much, other than maybe missing 1 or 2 shots, but from those closer ranges, you're probably not going to be hitting headshots super consistently. So, to make this super consistent, All I like to do is right at the chest level of the target. I try to stay around there. You might be inclined to try to go for headshots, but because this thing can bloom out a little bit when you're shooting those at max rate of fire, you do lose some consistency. However, if you're right at chest level, as you can see right here, you're really not going to miss any shots, and every once in a while, you might kick and get a headshot. So just keep the hipfire in mind with this thing. It's really, really strong. It might save your life, and every once in a while, as you can see right here, you can even get some headshots. So the hipfire on this thing is definitely a go. Next up at number 4, and I know I briefly touched on this at the long range shooting with the Famas, we have the reticle placement. Now this is extremely important. Now you might just say, well, if you want to hit headshots, aim for the head, but from targets that are a little bit further than 10 meters, this isn't really the case. If I put it right on his head right here, for that first shot, yeah, I might be able to hit him, but as you start spamming shots, your grouping is going to get worse and worse. Generally speaking, to have the most consistent results, still hit headshots while maintaining your optimal time to kill. What I like to do is aim right at the neck area. This is really good for ranges that are a little bit out of 10 meters, maybe 20, aka where you're going to see most gunfights generally speaking. And what this does is, even if I'm not controlling that recoil perfectly, because this thing does kick more the deeper you get in the magazine, it's going to ensure that 1, you're hitting all your shots, and 2, you might kick up and get a few headshots. So right here in the neck area, as you can see, if I'm aiming and doing that while maintaining that recoil adjustment that I showed off previously, you can hit headshots very consistently. As I showed off in the range one, as you get further away, you're going to want to aim lower and lower, but generally speaking, if you aim towards the neck, as you can see right here, headshots become very consistent. Now you're probably saying, well, that target's standing still. Same thing works here if I'm in the neck level, maintaining that recoil, headshots are very consistent. So keep that in mind, make sure your reticle is placed properly before beginning a gunfight, and you will have a ton of success. And finally, at number 5, we have the equipment you should be running with the Famas, or you could be running, I should say. This is just my personal loadout. I find it to be the most useful, so I'll run you through it and just kind of show you how everything leans into each other. So the first thing I love is the dematerializer. Now you might be saying, oh, you're just using that because it's new, but for a weapon that has burst fire, being able to peek in and out and jiggle peek like this is really useful, because burst fire weapons are very good at pre-firing. I can start my shots before I even see my target, as you can see right here, and I can damage them, and they only have like a split second to react, and I can take them out. Same thing here, if I'm looking at this target. Because this thing has really good hit fire, I can utilize the same thing. The other thing I love is the gas mine. Of course, this is good for blocking out objectives and keeping your flank covered, but you can also combo this with our next thing, which is the frag grenade. Now the frag grenade is just amazing. It's my favorite equipment in the game overall, but it has a pretty cool synergy with the gas mine. So all you're gonna do is throw or underhand a frag grenade, take your gas mine, throw it like that. As you can see right here, you have what is essentially a gas grenade and a frag grenade all in one, and you get 2 charges of the gas mine, which makes it better than the gas grenade in my opinion. Of course, you can throw the gas grenade further, but I really like that synergy. The other thing you have is the jump pad for general maneuverability. However, I will caveat this. Do not use the Famas in the air unless you are right in a target's face. As you can see right here, if I jump and fire all these, the spread on this is absolutely bonkers. Make sure if you're using this thing, especially if you're hip firing, don't jump around and do that. Because as you can see right here, we'll go to this wall. If you're jumping around while you're hip firing, yeah, you're just not gonna hit what you're aiming at. So generally try to stay on the ground, but the jump pad is really good for getting on objectives, maybe throwing frags, you know, dealing some damage to things in front of you. But yeah, that's just my personal loadout. I have the most success with it. You can change things out how you see fit, but for me, this is the most consistent. Anyways, everyone, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comments section down below. Been absolutely loving this weapon, as I've said. Probably gonna post a gameplay of it sooner than later, so you guys can see some of these tips in action. Or you don't really have to watch that. I can't make you do anything, but I promise it's worth it, right? So I don't just seem like a phony. Maybe you're just like watching these videos and thinking, man, this guy probably can't do any of this stuff in game. And for the most part, you're right, but every once in a while, I can do some cool things. Anyways, guys, this has been Combo. Thank you for coming and watching. Stay home, stay safe, and yeah, peace out, everybody. Later.